Tonight, the South Australian company awarded for its ingenious way of significantly reducing methane emissions. And millions poured into overcoming the Spencer Golf skill shortage by offering fee-free TAFE courses.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. South Australia is leading the way when it comes to reducing emissions in agriculture. CH4 Australia has been named Climate Change Leader for Business and Industry for its revolutionary use of seaweed.
On a mission to reduce emissions, South Australian-based climate technology company CH4 Australia is working with farmers to reduce methane emissions by using seaweed processed as cattle feed supplements.
To be able to stand in a room with all of those people and share a shared vision towards changing climate change for the better, it's a wonderful event, and we're so pleased.
Cows and other animals with 4 stomachs expel methane, and the world's 1.5 billion domestic cattle are responsible for 1/6 of the world's greenhouse gas volume. But Asparagopsis, a type of microalgae, can drastically reduce these emissions.
Quite simply, everything else picks up the pace and does all the breaking down of the food, except for the methanogens, which means they no longer make methane, and the cow is still producing good quality meat, good quality milk.
CH4 aims to have its Asparagopsis feed supplement being fed to 150 million cattle within the next 5 years, changing the agricultural world forever.
Basically, we need technologies to be able to meet the demand from the farmers. So our farmers in Australia specifically have set an agenda by 2030 to be zero carbon emission.
A number of applications were received at the Premier's Climate Change Awards, highlighting South Australia as a climate change leader. ANNABEL Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A major cash injection to TAFE will see campuses offer new fee-free courses next year. It comes with the state and federal government's allocation of $65 million to help bolster the number of workers in sought-after professions. The funding will allow 12,000 TAFE places to come without attached fees in areas like hospitality, agriculture, construction and tourism. Nurses in Broken Hill have joined the rest of the state in walking off the job for 24 hours. It's the 4th time the healthcare workers have gone on strike this year, with nursing staff frustrated at the government.
Taking to the town square in solidarity with healthcare workers across the state. And if things don't change, it will happen again.
No, so we've actually striked 4 times now. So the first one we did was just for an hour, and the last 3 strikes we've had over this year have been for 24 hours. So yeah, we're just going to keep striking.
They're demanding mandated nurse-to-patient ratios and better working conditions. Like teachers, nurses are understaffed and overworked.
It's dangerous. Like, we are so understaffed, we're getting fatigued, people are getting burnt out, people are leaving the profession, we're having a mass exodus over the last couple of years.
Jeanette Daly has been a nurse for nearly 60 years, 30 of those in Broken Hill. Nurse Daly has seen strikes before and wants those in charge to know it's not just the patients in need of help.
We're also looking to care for us as well, because if we do not have healthy carers, then we do not have a good system at all, and people suffer as a consequence.
She also has a message for the state government.
Listen to us staff members at the coalface. We see the reality. We want you to see the reality and start working towards improving conditions and the whole health system.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Royal Flying Doctor Service is continuing to expand services from their Port Augusta base. One doctor is undergoing her fellowship as a rural generalist, offering new skills vital for the remote healthcare system.
Dr. Susie Keynes is one of the local heroes of the Royal Flying Doctor Service. She is now a recipient of the Royal Australian College of General Practitioners Rural Generalist Fellowship.
You have capacity to work as a general practitioner in primary healthcare. Along with that, you have extended skills in emergency medicine and other areas, and of which mine is obstetrics as well.
Rural generalists in the RFDS means they can fill roles that have previously been lacking in the South Australian Rural Health Service.
We have the Swiss Army knife of doctors that's out there in the rural towns that can do a bit of everything from managing a trauma or a car accident and chest pain and a heart attack, all the way through to the mental health consultations of a teenager that's struggling at school, or the parents that's struggling with a stillborn child.
As for Dr. Keynes' thoughts on Channel 7's RFDS drama show that's filmed in Broken Hill and has a second season in production.
It's entertainment, it's fun, it keeps people wanting to turn on the next week, doesn't it?
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Adelaide Film Festival comes to Port Lincoln next week with a showing of 5 unique independent films. It's a chance for audiences to see something a little different on the big screen.
The Adelaide Film Festival rolling its way into Port Lincoln. A tough choice for local curators, cutting it down from 25 films to just 5.
Well, we were invited by the Adelaide Film Festival people to come to Adelaide and to have 4 days of film viewing. It was a real festival feeling, sometimes 3 in a day and 4 in a day, and then to make a choice, which was pretty difficult.
After analysing all the films from the festival, the curators are confident they have picked something for everyone.
So we've over 4 days, so we've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. We'll be showing 5 films over that time, and then we've got a really good diverse range of films that we're going to be showing.
A diverse range of independent films offering a new perspective on storytelling as opposed to your usual blockbusters. But you have to come in open-minded.
And so you have to be open, and we want people to come along here feeling open to seeing something new, something from a different part of the world, to be taken somewhere different.
We've got some international films, we've got some queer films, some documentaries, some Indigenous Australian films. We've got a bit of everything, kids, family, older people, we've got everything.
The festival offering up more than just films.
To see something in company, we're offering treats at the cinema, so people will have a glass of wine at the end of the festival, and there'll be treats relating to the films.
A must-watch on Sunday the 4th of December with the showing of Close, which won the Grand Prix at the Cairns Film Festival.
I think everyone in the whole world needs to come to Close. I think parents, teachers, kids, like middle school age kids, everyone needs to come to that one. That one's really important politically and personally as well.
Tickets can now be bought online or from the Port Lincoln Cinema. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, a road safety warning ahead of the busy harvest season. And Viterra to employ 12 trainees to learn the ropes of the ag industry. Welcome back. Due to widespread heavy rainfall, particularly in the Riverland and Mid-North, grain harvest season has been delayed. Minister for Regional Roads, Jeff Brock, is reminding locals to be extra precautious while behind the wheel this summer.
Regional roads can be dangerous at the best of times. And with grain harvest coinciding with school and summer holidays, roads will be busier than ever.
We're going to have a lot more traffic on the road in the way of the grain trucks and also farming equipment going on there from traffic to paddock to paddock. And look, I'm asking the people just to be a bit patient for the next few weeks in particular.
If you're heading out into regional SA, ensure you keep to the speed limit, slow down when approaching slower vehicles or vehicles entering or leaving the road, and drive to conditions, especially when visibility is low.
There's a lot of dust coming from the paddocks, and sometimes that dust, even though we've had lots and lots of rain, that dust is now coming across on the roadways, and in actual fact that reduces the opportunity for visibility and things like that.
Heavy vehicles can be much longer and wider than you expect, so always take extra precaution where possible.
So if we've got our lights on, that's an extra deterrent. It's an extra warning that if you're coming out, all of a sudden you don't see anything straight away, but you will see the lights. So that's an extra precaution.
While it can be frustrating being stuck behind a heavy vehicle, remaining patient and attentive can be the difference between arriving at your destination safely or not at all. Annabel Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
As we just heard, it's looking to be a record-breaking season despite the delay in starting this year's harvest. But better late than never. Viterra is looking to hire a dozen trainees to kickstart their careers in the agriculture industry.
It might be a late start to harvest, but things aren't slowing down, with ships leaving the port filled with the state's best grain.
We did our first vessel out of Thevenard over the weekend, just finished up yesterday, 22,000 tonne that's gone over to China with some nice hard wheat. Conditions are quite challenging at the moment. The weather's been sort of a little bit stop-start.
Exporting records are already being broken this season, with 18 exporters booking ahead. Despite the late rainfall, Viterra is still confident in the quality of the grain.
The yields are still looking extremely promising. Quality is still holding quite strong at the moment, which is great. We are implementing or looking at doing some further testing to ensure that quality remains the same.
Now, the agriculture company is offering people a chance to work in the industry through their 2-year traineeship program.
We've introduced a 2-year traineeship within the business that offers both on-the-job training and also formal educational training as well.
Successful traineeship applicants will earn their Certificate 3 in rural operations. 12 trainees will be chosen from within the Western, Central and Eastern regions.
They'll be learning grain classification, some machine operations, some hygiene and also some fumigation practices as well. So basically on-the-job training that we do here within the business.
Applicants will have until the 4th of December to apply. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Researchers have uncovered the biggest meteorite-strewn area in decades just north of Port Augusta. After almost 10 years of researching an atmospheric explosion, they've located the 6-kilometre fall zone by using a unique combination of defence satellites, weather radars and drones. 44 meteors have now been recovered from the site by ground crews, making it the largest discovery in Australia since 1969. Stay with us after the break. Why Port Augusta's triathlon turned into a duathlon. And last stop, Broken Hill. A Spencer Golf author wraps up her book tour in the Far West. Welcome back. A number of Port Augusta locals and a few out-of-towners got up early on the weekend to participate in the first duathlon. Originally a triathlon, the event is nevertheless seen as a sign of the expanding athletic events in the city.
There was no park run in Port Augusta on Saturday as runners turned their attention to the city's first duathlon, held across the eastern foreshore. The triple threat event was whittled down to just 2 legs. The swimming portion axed following fears of a shark lurking nearby. The condensed course, not enough to deter athletes from participating in the non-competitive event.
I haven't trained as much as I'd like to have, so it was a bit harder than I was hoping, but I actually did it in a quicker time than my average at the moment. So being out on the day and everyone else joining in gives you a bit of an adrenaline boost, and yeah, it was great.
Amazing waterfront. It's a spectacular spot to do activity, so I'm really glad to participate at last minute, and yeah, did quite well as well, surprisingly.
Medals were handed out by the city's new mayor, Lindley Shine, in one of her first official duties. Mayor Shine says events like the duathlon help gauge public interest in bringing more athletic events to Port Augusta.
Lovely event, lovely first event, and the people, the turnout is really good, and for something which is the first time, we would hope that these sorts of things continue into the future, and it's just lovely that to see people out, families out participating. I think it's a wonderful thing for Port Augusta, and the more of this sort of thing, the better for us.
Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Author Fleur MacDonald made her final stop on the Broad River Station book tour in Broken Hill last night. It was an intimate chat with locals, and Joshua Mercer went along.
Broken Hill is fast becoming a destination for authors when promoting their new book. Fleur MacDonald, the latest name added to the list.
Oh, the tour's been amazing. I've done 8,000 Ks since I left home on the 3rd of November, and yeah, ended up here in Broken Hill. It's been wonderful.
Border closures during COVID prevented Ms MacDonald from going on tour earlier. The Uluru-born author now calls Western Australia home.
Only really small and very few. So it's awesome to get back on the road and see people and talk to people and just, you know, connect with readers again.
The author currently writes an average of 2 books a year and has little trouble finding inspiration, asking lots of questions until she finds the story that works. Thankfully, penning Broad River Station was on the easier side.
Certainly had some moments there where I had to stop and scratch my head and, you know, phone my detective friend. But yeah, it was written within 2 months, and then we had the editing process. I like to write really organically. I just like to let it evolve, because I worry that if I have the ending in mind, I might accidentally signpost it throughout the book.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. After the break, from the Jewel of the North to the waters of the Eyre Peninsula, Fish and Tips is next. And it'll be a scorcher tomorrow. We'll have the weather details with Ruby Cairns. Welcome back. Fishers keen to wet a line this weekend won't be disappointed, with plenty of options on offer this weekend. Here's this week's Fish and Tips.
Welcome another week around the Gulf's fishing tips from Port Pirie. The weather looks absolutely perfect this weekend. We've got a bit of coolness coming on the Fridays and all that sort of stuff, but I think we'll be right for this weekend. My tip is pretty much the same as what we've been talking about. There is an opportunity if you go around what we call the Oval at Port Davis, which is the right-hand side of the mouth, and start looking around there. You may see some great flathead coming up. So have a shot for those guys. While you're there, think about your salmon and tommies. Nice soft jaw fish, but great to teach kids how to fish. Down the Port Pirie side, Third Creek patches, there's still a sprinkling of King George, so you'll have to work very, very hard. You might get half a quota and all that sort of stuff. But keep thinking blue swimmer crabs. Warm weather coming. We've got opportunity around Checker Buoy for your first taste of blue swimmer crabs. I've been told that Port Augusta is going to be coming on pretty soon, so look out for the travelling boats. That's all we have this week. We'll see you next week.
G'day, welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Lincoln. Starting around the bay here, the whiting has still been reasonably well. Places like Spalding Cove and Horse Rock and stuff have been providing a feed in the afternoon high tides. There's also been a few garfish and tommies mixed in around the Burley trails too, so keep an eye out for the flickers out the back. The garfish have been a great size too. The squid have been a little bit slow around the bays, but there are signs they're starting to improve. Moving offshore from Port Lincoln, the Nanagai and sharks have been really good. There's been a few blue morn mixed in as well down the passage. Inshore at Coffin Bay, the whiting have been pretty good at Farm Beach. Guys are moving around into the sand holes, have been finding a feed there relatively quickly. And there's also been a mixed bag of flathead, garfish and tommies out there too. That's about it for this week. We'll see you again next week.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, everything's big up here at the moment. There's a big shark, that big shark is still down around the powerhouse, so just be really cautious of that. He's fairly feisty. But he's up here for those big kingfish. Just about everyone going out is getting a heap of kingfish at the moment. And a lot of tagging or a lot of releasing, which is really good to see as well. Blue crabs can be found. They're not big in numbers, but big in size and fairly full of meat at the moment too. The squid have all but gone, but they've been getting those kingfish on some live salmon. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Hi, Whalers Fishing Tips this week. Again, the local jetty still producing a few nice sized crabs. There are many small ones amongst them, so please do watch your size on those and stick to your limits. There's been a few squid on sundown as well off the local jetty. Best area on the right-hand side, there's some really nice sand holes, so get in amongst those to get those nice squid. For the boaties, there's been a few yellowtail kingfish boated. It is very hit and miss still. There's also been a few nice sharks holding up around the Point Lowly region. There's been a few boats getting stuck into them, so get those big baits and get hooked into those nice big bronzies. A little bit further down south of Whyalla, there's surprisingly still been a few King George whiting captured. Those areas have been on the eastern shoal and out front of Cowlard's Landing.
Crab and squid at Whyalla Jetty. I'll make a mental note. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Ruby Cairns. Ruby, it was warm today, but it will be warmer tomorrow.
Yes, Maddie, 32 was the top temp in our region, recorded in Coober Pedy around 20 past 3 this afternoon. Not far behind was Port Augusta, also reaching 32. Port Lincoln was a fair bit cooler, just 20 degrees today, but that didn't stop our fishing expert, Jamie Crawford, from headed out to cast a line. Whyalla was a very pleasant 25. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, 32 was also the top in Coober Pedy and Woodner, 29 in Port Pirie, Broken Hill reached 28. Taking a look at the satellite image now, winds will shift warmer and turn northerly tomorrow before another cool southwesterly change in the afternoon, extending over the remainder of the state for Saturday. On the Gulf waters tomorrow, easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, turning northeasterly early in the morning, seas below a metre. South to southwesterly swell 1 to 1.5 metres. Port Lincoln, sunny and 29 tomorrow, 35 for Cleve, sunny conditions as well. And goodness me, Woodna, a balmy 38. 33 for Whyalla, 13 overnight. Port Augusta headed for 37 on Friday. Kadina, sunny and 32 degrees. Port Pirie, blue skies and 34. Clare is in for its first 30-degree day since March. Broken Hill, sunny tomorrow as well, 31. Taking a look further through the week now, Saturday is looking a bit muggy at this stage. Possible storms for Coober Pedy, 36 degrees, sunny and 35 in Broken Hill. Possible showers in the EP and parts of the mid-north. Moving on to Sunday's outlook now, showers clearing everywhere except for the capital. Partly cloudy, 22 in Whyalla and Kadina, 25 in Port Augusta. Port Pirie headed for 23. Let's take a quick look at Monday's forecast now. Sunny in the northern parts of our map, but cloudy towards the south. Temps between 20 and 28 degrees. And Maddie, I won't be surprised if a few people call in sick tomorrow to enjoy that lovely sunshine. I'll see you in a little while with another update. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Ruby. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.